This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Hello and welcome, friends and neighbors, to Super Connectivity. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burg of Pits.
Phil and Perich.
That's the guy. Hey, Philip, so glad you could join us.
Hello.
So many things to talk about. Before we get to Falcon Winter Soldier, which did drop today.
Episode 3, yeah.
Episode 3.
Way through the season already. Yeah.
Halfway through, man, and it's like, they need to give these things more episodes. I'm sorry, 6 episodes is not enough.
Mm-mm.
I don't know how they're going to wrap it up and give us deep lore in the next 3 episodes. I'm already mad that certain things aren't being discussed. But we move on from there. Moving on from there, there is, we'll get to that in a minute. So it was just announced by Warner Brothers that the Batman, the new The Batman films will be taking place on Earth 2, which is either a Warner Brothers executive who has never read a comic book talking, it's like, Earth 2, that's something you geeks say, right? Or he is actually saying, no, it's going to take place on an Earth 2 that has the JSA, that is the, there was actually a whole debate of whether or not that's Earth 1 or that's Earth 2, As I say about Marvel, everyone thinks of the 616. So,
yeah.
But it's interesting in the idea that if this is an Earth 2, meaning it is now a separate universe, and there is going to be an expanded Gotham universe, because there is going to be a Gotham show, that, someone should probably review on a weekly basis. I don't know who should, but someone should probably review a Gotham show.
Well, some of us
on a weekly basis.
Batman show, so yes.
Yes.
But I mean,
I'm down to co-host that, by the way, and that's something I might live tweet.
Oh, there you go. Well, it's going to be HBO Max.
Doesn't that have an HBO component that goes, or does it go to HBO Max first and does it at midnight, which is just annoying?
I don't think it's just like a pure HBO Max thing. So that's what I'm saying. That one might be hard to live tweet. Yeah.
That makes me mad.
But no, again, with the whole The Batman thing, it's like, what was it? They say Earth 2. Is it, what are they counting the Snyderverse as Earth 1? Because on the, Arrowverse shows, most of those shows are set on an Earth 1, and Stargirl and the JSA are on Earth 2. So it's like,
yeah. Although it should be noted that is like the third, JSA that we've had. Because there is an Earth 1 JSA, because the Legends encountered them when they went to the 1940s, and then they had the JSA for that original Arrowverse universe.
Yeah.
And now Stargirl has its own JSA, but it is technically a different universe. And I don't know, it's always weird to me that there are these costumed superheroes that are so below the radar. And
the whole JSA thing is so weird because it was like, they were the original heroes of the 40s, but then once Barry Allen ran into Jake Eric, it's like, oh yeah, the JSA is from Earth 2. But then after Crisis on Infinite Earths, when they got rid of all the multiple universes, they were like, oh no, they were from World War II. And, so it's like, it's half the time they're from Earth 2, some of the time they're from the 1940s.
Yeah. And, as we pointed out, Smallville had a JSA too. So we have had many, many multiple versions of JSAs. But it would make for a very interesting take if they're going to do an Earth 2. And I think that DC did this, where they did the Earth 2 modern era, where, you have Alan Scott and you have everybody, but it's in the modern era. But there are all those classic JSA characters, Starman and Green Lantern, and of course Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman. And that would be interesting. It would be interesting to see Batman and and Superman and Wonder Woman form, or Batman and Dr. Fate and Green Lantern form a JSA in the Bat-Patniverse. We just have to see how far they're going to go and how much they want to expand it. Now, since we know they're building out a Gotham-averse, because they are going to have that Gotham series on HBO Max, it makes you wonder, okay, are they just doing a Batman lore universe? But that's a pretty small universe when you think about it. Anytime that you're confined to one city, because that's the thing. It's like, I'm afraid of the Batman and I'm a supervillain. I think I'm going to move to Milwaukee where Batman's not, and I'll go rob banks there. That's a much smarter move on my part.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you're going to stay Batman centric and you're not going to bring in any other, you're not going to bring in Superman or anybody, who cares what Earth it's on? I thought that's originally what Warner said. They're like, oh yeah, some of these movies now, the interconnected universe thing didn't work, so everything's going to be its own separate thing. But now they're interested in labeling each universe.
But that's the thing, is I actually think that the interconnected universe did work. It just was roughly executed because they kind of jammed it all together.
Well, yeah. Well, like Lilith said, I don't think Zack Snyder was your guy to build a connected universe.
Yeah, but I mean, here's what I'll say. Joss Whedon brought the Avengers together and then did Age of Ultron, which a lot of people don't enjoy as much. The fact of the matter is you can have a bad director, you can have a bad take, and then just move on from it,
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think they were kind of leaving Snyder, quote, unofficially in charge of most of that. It's like, yeah, I mean, Joss Whedon might have had a bad movie or two, but Feige was running the show over there. So it's like...
Exactly. But the thing is that you can then move on, That I think is DC's biggest problem on this, is that they want to commit to something. And it's like, even Marvel didn't commit to everything right away. You get a Tony Stark cameo in the Hulk. Yeah, you get some Stark tech highlighted in the Hulk. But really, when you get to Thor, you'll get folk. It's like all the little cameos. Basically, Marvel committed to cameos, not a shared universe.
Yeah.
They don't build that universe until the Avengers. And quite frankly, if they had really felt something didn't work, they probably would have just said, well, maybe that's not what happened, Yeah.
I mean, again, it's like DC runs at the first sign. Well, Warner's DC runs at the first sign of trouble. Marvel, they hit a speed bump. They're like, okay, maybe that one wasn't as good. On to the next thing. But yeah, I mean, Marvel did it right. They had a bunch of, we had one or two Iron Mans. You had a Thor, you had a Captain America, and then you rolled into Avengers. But it's like DC, that's what they should have did. They should have did some solo Justice League member movies. Well, maybe even had Harley Quinn in a Batman movie before you threw her in Suicide Squad.
I mean, I think, that's sort of where it gets weird. Because I actually think that had they done a Justice League movie, what it was is they did Man of Steel.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like Batman, Superman. Everyone knows the story. I mean, I don't even worry about them, but they did Wonder Woman, Flash, and everybody before they did the Justice League movie.
Well, they had committed to something for a while, and then, unfortunately, here's what I'll say. I think that had Zack Snyder done his 2-hour Snyder cut, I think you might have had a consistent DC multiverse that you could grow from. The fact that he left it and then you had Joss Whedon have to sort of fix the problems of a 4-hour film say, well, we can't release a 4-hour film. This isn't The Hobbit, I'm sorry, it's not The Hobbit, or you would have to break it up into 2 different films, or you'd have to do all this stuff. There's all these qualities that you would have had to have done there. But if your plan was to do a 4-hour film, that doesn't really work. We have to tell the story in a reasonable fashion for people going to movie theaters, where they do have to get up and pee. And that is where I think Disney Plus sort of is lapping people in the idea that, hey, if we just put out like 30 and 50-minute episodes, we can tell these arcs, and then we can also have these neat little denouements at the end of every episode, where it's like, oh, here is the new character, as we see in Falcon Winter Soldier, and that can progress the story nicely.
Mm-hmm.
But I am actually excited by the idea of DC just building out another universe. And I think that might be DC's great strength, is that if they commit to a many worlds theory, then they can say, yeah, so we're going to do the Bat Pattinson universe, and there's going to be a Superman in that universe, and there's going to be a Wonder Woman in that universe, and we never have to worry about reboots, because no, we're just going to do a different universe. And so we already have the Stargirl universe coming up, and maybe someday we'll have a Superman show up there, and we'll have a Batman show up there, and we'll have a Wonder Woman show up there, and we'll do the same thing with the Berlanti verse, and we'll do the same thing with the Bat Pattinson verse, which I've already mentioned, and and no, maybe someday we'll restore a Snyderverse, but Jason Momoa is going to keep on into his Aquamaniverse, which may wind up rejoining with the Shazam-averse and the Wonder Woman-averse, and we may get a Superman and Batman in that universe too, but it's going to be consistent with the Shazam-averse that maybe those other characters are actually now in. That's the thing. That is where things get weird and interesting, but I think that actually DC might hit on a nice formula there, where they have just these many different things. The problem is that that's going to lead to internecine war. And I think that is one of DC's biggest problems, because there was this whole thing recently about how fans are actively hating on Supergirl now that there's a Superman TV show to watch. And it's like, again, I'm a Marvel fan, so I grew up with a Lou Ferrigno Hulk, and a Hammond Spider-Man, and I had it and I loved it, and that was my world. And I was just happy to see my Red Brown Captain America getting the work and getting that character's name out there. And I get the feeling DC fans want that interconnected universe and get mad that it's not. Whereas I think that Marvel fans, we want an interconnected universe, but if Feige says, well, no, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now took place in a parallel timeline, likewise with Cloak and Dagger and Netflix, we'll say, fine, be that way. Because it's, we want the X-Men to come in. The X-Men are never coming into the Marvel, the Fox X-Men are never coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, the best you're getting is Boner,
I mean, the closest thing we got, I think, was today, Madripoor in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Well, but I don't even think was Madripoor in the X-Men Fox universe.
No. I mean, I just mean in the X-Men comic in in comics, but yeah.
But that's a country, Man, I was waiting for Latveria to get mentioned. Yeah, we got to Latvia. We didn't get to Latveria yet.
No, I was all excited. I was like Latveria. I was like, oh, Latvia.
No, Latvia. I'm waiting for Baron Zemo to say, oh yeah, I got a place. I got a little country house. My cousin, the Baron, owns it. My other cousin, Baron Van Doom, I just have to be properly respectful, and he's very nice. Has a skin condition. Don't ask him about it.
No, well, that's the other thing. I mean, Zemo's in the comic at certain points has had his face messed up. I wonder if his face is going to get messed up by the end of this. So he's going to keep that mask on.
I don't know. I think that's a lot to ask.
Yeah.
For the SFX department, for the actor, for everybody,
Or unless he's like vain like Doom and he just has like one little like scar down his cheek or something. He's like, I'm hideous, I must wear it,
Yeah, I mean, the original idea was that the mask was glued to his father's head, and then
Adhesive X, yeah,
and then he fell into like a volcano at some point. But then again, it's not like, plastic surgical technology doesn't exist. There's stuff for burn victims in our world. So I assume it's a lot better when they're manufacturing visions in the cradle, in a 3D printed cradle. I have to assume that, you could get pretty good reconstructive surgery if you're a billionaire baron,
Oh yeah, I mean, he eventually got put into his Earth counterpart's body.
Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. But I mean, they might mess up his face. They might glue his mask to his face. That would be weird, honestly.
Yeah.
Because you always have to ask, how does he eat? Because it doesn't have a mouth hole. That was always.
I mean, it's intravenously, maybe.
I mean, yeah, I guess you can write a story where that works, but
I know
it doesn't. Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't think Kirby thought it through in the character design.
Hey, old Marvel was like DC, modern DC. They didn't mention toilets.
Yeah, which I have to say, Zemo has a toilet. Prominently featured. When you watch and you see, there's the toilet. That's how you know it's a Marvel film. We have toilets. We listen to Charlie Esser and the Southgate Media Group podcast, where they make a big deal about how DC doesn't have toilets. We recognize the need for toilets.
I mean, he must have got something for good behavior, because at the end of Civil War, wasn't he like locked in a thing where it's like, yeah, you strapped to a chair, like, yeah, we're not going to let you move like 23 hours a day. You're just going to sit there.
Well, yeah, but it's easy to get good behavior in prison.
Especially when you're I mean, how much trouble can you get strapped to a chair for 23 hours too?
Yeah, but the thing is that eventually people feel so, and especially if you're a charmer like Baron Zemo. That's the thing. But it was very interesting that they really leaned into the comic book lore. They made him a Baron. Which is one of those things that I gotta feel like, man, it's the interconnected Feige-verse, but he's getting way more comic booky.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't think we've seen the last of the canonical Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Cloak and Dagger or the Netflix people. Because I get the feeling Feige really wants to weave all that comic book stuff into it.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no reason to make Zemo a Baron and then suddenly he's a super rich Baron. I guess it makes some sense in the idea that, well, he was able to do all this stuff after the fall of Sokovia. But like now we're kind of really discussing it. It kind of creates this idea. Because they never said he was... In Winter Soldier, they never call him Baron Helmet Zemo. They just say he's Helmet Zemo. He was Sokovian Special Forces. So the fact that he had this royal lineage...
And I forget I mean, he mentions his father real quick in the one movie, but I think it was like... in this episode, didn't he say, I come from... Did he say he came from money or something? Because
which says I'm royalty.
Yeah.
Which really suggests that, his family was actually in the castle when a rock fell on him.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, he's like, I come from royalty until your friends destroyed my country.
Yeah, which is another thing that Marvel is willing to do, which is ignore canon that doesn't fit the current story. If we've done something that didn't quite, he's like, well, that doesn't really make sense based on what he said before. He's like, well, he just didn't mention it. We're not that committed. It's like, dude, it's an entertaining story, and we're telling a larger arc.
It's not like DC where it's like you completely go against your canon. It's like, oh yeah, we just never mentioned this detail before.
Yes, yeah, it doesn't sound perfect when you try to dissect the logic of it. But then, why are you sitting here digesting logic? Did you see we're going to punch a guy in a minute? Watch us punch this guy. See him get punched. Wasn't that great? Look, the lady's going to shoot somebody and then punch him.
Oh my God, yeah. Sharon.
By the way, I have to love the way they integrated Sharon Carter's Marvel story of going off grid, getting left behind, and having to make a life in Madripoor. And because that is canon. I don't know. I can't remember when they brought Sharon Carter back. I want to say it was the late 90s, early 2000s.
What, Sharon Carter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was Grunwald's run or if that was the next run.
No, it was right after Grunwald. It was Mark Waid brought her back.
Waid, yeah.
Because, like, Cap saw, he saw her die supposedly on video, getting burned alive. He's like, I thought you were dead. And she's like, oh, yeah, you saw me on video. How concrete evidence that is that?
She didn't tell a lie.
Yeah, well, in that one, yeah, like she kind of went undercover for like Fury and stuff, and then she got like left behind enemy lines or something. Yeah, it had
and that was and this was a great parallel to, like, if you were a deep dive comic nerd, if you were reading those issues in the 90s or the 80s or the 2000s, because all time is a myth to me now because I'm 40, so everything happened 10 years ago. It is a beautiful way to call that back.
And I mean,
to recognize part of this character's history and story.
And a lot of her allies disappeared in the blip. I mean, Fury disappeared.
And although the only thing that kind of annoys me about this is I'm realizing, this was episode 3. We've got 3 more episodes.
Yep.
Are we going to get more Isaiah Bradley, more Sharon Carter, more whoever this Wakandan lady is in the next 3 episodes?
You know what? I wonder if maybe at the end of 6 we're going to get a cliffhanger, and they're at the end they're going to be like, oh yeah, you're definitely getting season 2. But yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, I mean that. Then for what it's worth, I guess we've all been living in the blip, the COVID blip.
I mean,
everything had to shut down production. And we've got you this far, and there's going to be more coming as soon as we can all get back together.
Yeah, some of it might have been COVID, but I mean, as long as everyone still wants to do it, I'm guaranteeing you're probably getting a season 2 because they said the premiere of episode 1 like broke Disney Plus record, so it was premiere. Yeah, because I think they said it was Falcon, Winter Soldier, then WandaVision, then Mandalorian.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty impressive, and I can totally see that. Yeah, we'll get more of this, but I'm annoyed to have these characters be introduced, and then we get no more lore or no more story with them. That to have them be these cameos, and then not get a payoff. Obviously, in 6 episodes, you maybe don't get a payoff, but obviously they're building a larger lore for their universe. But the fact that we have an active Isaiah Bradley, the fact that we have an on-the-run Sharon Carter, it puts us in this spot where we really want to see more of these characters. And, that she stays behind in Madripoor is kind of annoying at the larger structure of it, especially given that, the power broker is still active in Madripoor. And it's a little disappointing they're not further going, that they're still focusing on Kylie Morgan. Is it Kylie Morgenthau?
Is it Car or maybe is it Carly? I think
Carly. Yeah, it was Kyle. Now it's Carly or Kylie.
I think it was Carl, and now they just added an I at the end of it, so it's like
Carly. Yeah, it's Carly Morgenthau, which is fine. I like Carly Morgenthau. She's a fun character. Although, man, and this is one of those things we get, and again, where we get in this episode, was what they call them, Nigels or Nagels, which I really want to say, man, are any of these people that are actually in the Marvel Universe? Because they're really dodging malice, which is both a boon and a detriment. Because on the detriment, it's like, man, how do you dodge malice in this? But it's like, wait, are they actively avoiding malice because they know Netflix did malice already and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with that character? And they really don't want to step on the Netflix universe yet? Or
do they have plans for that Netflix stuff and they don't want to tread there because maybe malice is coming up somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, I fully believe Malice is coming back. Like I said, he's been experimenting on. I'm sorry, you have super cuttlefish serum, and you don't give yourself a tweak from time to time. I'm sorry, when you've got the process stone cold, and then you're dating a cuttlefish lady, you're not going to give yourself a little juice just to keep up with her in the bedroom, if nothing else.
And I don't think it's Malice, but do you think the Power Broker is someone we've seen before? I mean, we're halfway through the season and we haven't seen the Power Broker at all. I mean, it has to be someone we've seen before, right?
I mean, no.
I mean, it's
no.
not.
It could just be Curtis Jackson. Oh man, wouldn't it be great if they actually got 50 Cent to play the Power Broker?
Curtis Jackson.
Yeah, no, I'm the Power Broker. What do you want? I'm gonna mess you up, you know. It would just be great. It would just be great.
But I mean, I don't know. I might just I feel like I'm going to be disappointed if it's someone I haven't seen before. Like, I mean, the Red Skull would be the thing, or like Justin Hammer, somebody.
Nah, see, that's the thing. It's like I'm not waiting for that. I mean, no, the best person to be the Power Broker would, of course, be what's his name? Was it Nigel? the not real Mandarin.
Oh, yeah.
I am the Power Broker. You know that the thing is then it's all just this great act to be pulled by, of course, the real Mandarin, which will be showing up over in Shang-Chi, which is coming soon. So maybe that's not the wildest idea ever, that the Power Broker might be Sir Ben Kingsley. Oh, Sir Ben Kingsley, Power Broker. Mark my words.
No, I mean,
or 50 Cent. 50 Cent. I'm like torn between what would be the better reveal, that it's 50 Cent, or that in the MCU 50 Cent didn't become a rapper. He just became, because he was a gangster, but he actually parlayed that into a powerful position in Madripoor.
Or if they want to tease those comics, I mean, we've said it before, but you just got like Chris Evans sitting there as the Power Broker because he's really the Skull, and everyone's like, oh, Captain America's back, and then you just see him with that cigarette holder, and he just goes Hail Hydra, and it goes to black at the end of the season. They're like, what the hell's that?
I mean, I guess it's pause. I mean, yeah, that would be amazing. Phil, I'm going to tell you, that's the kind of thing that blows men's minds.
Oh yeah, can you imagine for the people who don't read the comics? They'd be like, "What? What?"
But it would be too good of a thing to do.
Oh yeah,
and you would be asking Chris Evans to come back for that scene. Oh, I mean, actually, I'm sure Chris Evans would be happy to come back for a scene where he's sitting in a chair smoking a cigarette.
Oh, yeah.
And then, just give him the dust, and now his face is all scully. Like, we can get that other guy back from the skull,
Exactly.
We can do the guy. We can do a skull mask guy, And
hell, I mean, even if you do Chris Evans' face for a couple seconds, you probably CGI it. They got enough footage of him.
That's not appropriate because you'd still have to pay him for his image likeness.
True.
Yeah, there's all sorts of rules, Phil.
I know.
The lawyers are catching up to technology. Never doubt that lawyers today are actually outthinking the technology.
Oh, I know.
They're writing things in the contract to say, what if they actually come up with a smell-o-vision? Then my client's scent is his own, and you cannot replicate my client's scent on your things without his written authorized permission and payment.
Oh, but do you want to know the depressing part? I guess Wyatt Russell's been getting all kinds of hate on the internet and stuff.
Well, I don't know. See, that's the thing. I'm not seeing hate on the internet in the way that... So it's like there are hashtags for the hate that is going out from the DC fandom.
Oh no, I thought I saw somewhere he was getting death threats or something.
No. He's probably gotten... Phil, I'm going to be honest with you. Actors get death threats literally every day.
Oh yeah.
Like every actor you've ever seen has gotten a death threat At least if they're famous enough, Every female actress has gotten horrible things sent to her.
Penis
The
picture.
world is filled with horrible people, Phil, and I hate to be the one to break your bubble on that, but yeah. So, yeah, I am certain people have sent Wyatt Russell death threats, but just the fact that, I don't think he's received credible death threats.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's gotten like a couple of angry nerds like, I think you're awful and you should be in a bad place because they're not Captain America.
That just bums me out because I'm just like, he must be a good actor because he's doing his job. You're supposed to hate this.
Exactly. Well, I mean, to be fair, from everything I've read on the subject, it's like he's like, yeah, I'm looking forward to everyone hating me for this because this is a character you're supposed to hate. It's
John Walker. This is what John Walker does.
Exactly. But along those same lines, yes, he is a character you hate, but he's performed well. Because we just start getting that evil. And this is the thing I want to talk about, Nagel's serum. Because he makes this...
Wait, before we move on from John Walker, did you see... interesting trivia. Did you see... I guess they said Wyatt Russell must have auditioned for the role of Captain America before Chris Evans got it.
Oh, okay, I'll believe that.
So, I mean, I find that interesting that they went to him for John Walker because he could have been Steve Rogers in another timeline.
Yeah, but he also could have been Armie Hammer, so
True.
Woo! Talk about dodged bullets, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Because not for nothing, before all this stuff came out, I loved Armie Hammer. As I think he looks like Captain America. He could have been Captain America, but
I can see the headlines now. Cannibal Cap.
Oh wow, man! Well, if they ever do a Relics, what was it called? Relics, where Captain America was a cannibal. The Dark Mirror universe of Marvel's. The idea that DC eventually stole for their Dark Metal universe. Thank you. I'm here all week. But yeah, I mean, I don't take the idea that Wyatt Russell has gotten death threats too much personally. I mean, it shows that there are sick and horrible people in the world. But I think, here's what I'll say. I will guarantee you Chris Evans has probably gotten death threats for playing Captain America.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's really where it gets down to. It's like, did Chris Evans ever get death threats? Probably yes, because, he's got one of these crazy super liberal caps, and I don't like that. When has Captain America ever been against Nazis? I think Wyatt Russell is doing a fantastic job playing this. But I do want to talk about this idea that, when you talk about that serum, because that is the question, is does this character have serum or does he not have serum? And if he does have serum, is he maybe a little unstable because of it? Because there is this whole thing that Nagel makes this point of, that he refined the serum. So there's it's more subtle, no clunky machines. And of course, any deep dive comic book fan knows that the Vita Rays are expressly what keeps you from going crazy from the super soldier serum. It's the Vita Ray treatment that stimulates the brain and the body in a way that keeps the super soldier serum from turning you into a sociopathic maniac.
All right, kids, you want to see me make Charlie Esser's night? Didn't he say there was 20 samples of that serum out there, and what Carly's group has 8 of them?
Mm-hmm.
So even if John Walker and Battlestar have 2 samples, that's 10 there. There's still 10 left. So we could eventually get Protocide.
Well, Protocide would have to be actually a previous version. I mean, that's...
I don't know, man. They could play with the timeline. I don't know.
But then he wouldn't be a prototype. You see, he's called Protocide because he's the prototype.
Well, it's easy enough. You could just say, "Oh yeah, we 2 days before we gave it to Steve Rogers, we gave it to another guy, and he went nuts."
Well, yeah, but that would be actually the original Erskine formula.
Yeah.
And that's fair. That's fair. Because essentially that was the resolution between the two comic panels of does he drink it or does it get injected? And the idea is there's an injectable portion, there's a drinkable portion, and then there's a Vita-Ray portion.
Oh my god. Please, Feige. I want a certain purple-headed, purple masked Baron to take some serum before he becomes Citizen V. Please.
Oh, well, you might see it.
Mhm.
Because if nothing else, he may see well. But obviously, to give you a little bit of the old, if you ever saw the original Swamp Thing, and it enhances what's already there. It's like, well, what if the nature of the person was genius? It's like, oh, if you think you have genius, and that's what you think is the essence of your personality, maybe you shouldn't take the thing that just brings out everything that you are to the surface. Or as Richard Pryor once said, when someone told him that, cocaine is great, it just brings out whatever you are and makes it more intense. He's like, yeah, but what if you're a real lousy person? Which isn't the word he used.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that was Richard Pryor. It might have been Bill Cosby, actually, in some of his more blue days. Bill Cosby played blue, for those who don't remember. He did play blue back in the day. But
but what if Sam gets some serum?
Sam might get some serum. Actually, you know what I actually think is the most interesting concept in this? I actually think we're going to get a Joaquin Torres Falcon by the end of this.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Because I think he is going to look. Because I think at the end that might be our last thing. Is we're going to get Joaquin back into this, and he's going to be like, "Yeah, man. Here, I need someone to be on my side. Bucky's going to do his own thing. I'm going to be Cap now. You want to be my Falcon?"
Because I was going to say, I thought maybe the whole John Walker Battlestar thing was foreshadowing, or are we going to get Sam as Captain America, and he asks Bucky, he's like, "Hey, you want to be Bucky again?" No.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing is that although there was a Bucky in the, I think I'd have to go actually look back at the comic books they're reading to see if there is a Bucky character in the original 1941 Captain America comic books that we see in First Avenger. But it would be interesting if they do have a Bucky image in it, But I would really like to see Joaquin get his own wings in green, and have him like, "I want you to be with me. I want you to be part of my new Avengers." And that's the thing. I don't think they're actually going to go for a Young Avengers. I think they're going to go for a West Coast Avengers. I think it's going to be Falcon bringing together in the next arc a West Coast Avengers, which might include a White Vision.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get a Tigra in there. Fingers crossed.
That last version of West Coast Avengers was basically Kate Bishop. I mean, we're getting a Kate Bishop.
We are getting Kate Bishop eventually, yeah. And of course, as Field pointed out, that Cassie Lang already exists in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
We could get a Cassie Lang. The Maximoff twins. We just met them, but they're not there yet. So lots of possibilities.
Oh my God! Once Byrne takes over that book? Who shows up in West Coast Avengers?
Oh, Master Pandemonium.
No, U.S. Agent.
Oh, yes. And speaking of U.S. Agent, did you read U.S. Agent this week, Philip?
Of course I did.
I found this a very hard book to follow. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, it kind of jumps around a little bit.
Jumps around a lot. And now we've got the fact that our pizza guy is actually a kung fu master who trained the Saint, who is like actually this little skinny guy, but he injects himself, and
Bane.
It goes all over the place here, and
John Walker's, is he sleeping with Val Cooper? What? Where did that come from?
apparently, well, once you go super soldier, you never come back. And apparently there are cow dragons in this universe. I mean, it is a weird. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna stop buying them, but they're definitely weird books. It's like, it's kind of I mean, here's what I'll say. Maybe if I was reading this as a trade, it's sort of like, if you binge something, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
I mean, just the cutting back to the interviews of the people after the fact. All these rural farmer folks and their most beloved cows. These are like really nice farmers, by the way, because these are clearly like, small batch, organic, free range cow dairy farmers. So that's a positive. Although I don't know if you want to be drinking the milk from the dairy farmers that are above the toxic waste site.
Yeah.
So,
but again, this is only 5-issue series. So next issue is the last issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It builds the lore. I enjoy it. It's like, there's nothing that I can say that I dislike about this book, except for the fact that I feel like in a month-to-month format, it's a little hard to follow because they keep on jumping around. Well, I think that in a trade, this is literally a book written for the trades, but I am enjoying it.
Yeah, it's just weird because it will go months ago, days ago, now.
Yeah. Do you want to pick a book to talk about, Philip?
I'm sure you read Captain America 28.
The Great Ta-Nehisi Coates. Oh wait, yours is different.
Yeah, I got
the retro blue and white cover because we're not paying for a colorist if we can sell more of the book without him. No, it's actually quite nice. I actually like this style of cover. It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a traditional cover, but it is fun to look at on an occasion. So, but yeah. So, man, it's weird that the Lucans are kind of in this weird menage a trois with the Red Skull, and that they've brought they've brought like Sin into their throuple as their daughter.
Yeah,
because it's like the Lucans, it's weird, but you know what? Hey, you do you, Pikachu.
I mean, I'm thinking that wife's kind of saying, maybe my husband ain't all cracked up to be, but that Red Skull,
Well, that's what makes it a throuple. It's like, my husband was good in what he did, but man, that Red Skull, he's got what he's looking for. It's interesting. Oh man, the whole thing with it's kind of interesting the parallel that Cap makes between the kid who fell between the cracks and himself. Like, yeah, man, I get it. You feel weak, you feel powerless, and all you want to do is be strong. It actually kind of suggests a dark side to Steve Rogers, which is interesting because it feeds in nicely into certain things they did with the Hydra Cap arc.
Yeah.
Where, pushed in the wrong direction, the same moral compass that made this person a hero could just as easily make him a villain.
Well, yeah, because it's kind of like, had he not gotten the serum, I mean, he wanted to serve in the military. He couldn't have if it hadn't been for that serum. So what would he have done?
Well, I mean, that's always my big argument there, because, as me and Maz talk about over on Full Stream Ahead right now, as we're reviewing Falcon and Winter Soldier, what if Cap had gone to Palo Gordo like a good soldier? If he had gone and helped the scientists, maybe there'd be a very different world. But it's interesting in how they break it down, and I do like that. We got our Daughters of Liberty. We find out that
Agatha.
It was Agnes. It was Agatha all along. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it's a nice parallel because essentially what they're talking about is the Mad Bomb.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this idea about harnessing hate. It's like, oh yeah, I created these, but it's actually supposed to harness positive emotions, but they made versions that harness negative emotions, which again shows that whole sorcery angle, which is neat. Honestly, I would think that Cap would be more aware of drugged weapons that nick him more at this point. Because isn't this like the second or third time he gets hit with a drugged weapon that knocks him out?
I mean, how many times has he been hit with drugged weapons since World War II? Come on, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that was one of the things I always liked about. There was something they called out with Sue Storm. It's like, yeah, I'll be honest with you. At this point in my life, I just get a little buzz off it. I've been gassed so many times. It's kind of nice, you know, get a little, a little nerve toxin. Yeah.
Nothing else. Steve should know by now not to turn his back, even if he thinks an opponent's down. Yeah, you know, it was just him and her on the roof. It's like, you know, I can stand and face you while making my call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you know, it's an interesting aspect because we do get this whole scene with Sharon and Cap at the end, and I get these feelings of the old, you know, hubris is, you know, the devil's favorite sin. Yeah. Because it's the one that we all succumb to, and it's the one that can be the most destructive to us. Because, you know, why not be prideful? Why not say I'm the best and I can do it? I don't need no help. Anyway, next book, Philip.
Did you read Black Cat number 4?
Of course I read Black Cat number 4. So who are these Hobbs's heroes?
I'm not sure. That must have been in something I didn't read, but I do know that I do recognize Lily Hollister because she was, again, like I think she even says, you know, her father was. This was like in the beginning of Brand New Day and Spider-Man. Like her father was running for mayor of New York. She was dating Harry Osborn, and then she ends up getting pregnant by. Well, she's dating Harry Osborn. She gets impregnated by Norman Osborn.
Norman, keep it in your pants.
I know, man. And basically, yeah, Harry was just like raising the kid as his own, you know, his brother as his son.
Is that Normie? Is Normie actually Lily Hollister's kid?
That was another kid. But again, with the whole kindred thing, I don't know what the hell's going on with Harry at this point.
I gotta be honest with the entire Osborn family. I mean, I get the feeling these guys were brand new daying it long before Peter ever got into the business. You know, maybe it's just me.
I'm not going to be surprised if at the end of, you know, this whole kindred stuff, we see that Norman's been making deals with the devil for years. Yeah, you know, Mephisto.
Yeah. Well, you know, for what it's worth, we kind of get the idea that maybe Howard has been. Yeah. So maybe if you want to make it in this world, you gotta pay the piper. You know, honestly, it's kind of fun and nice the way that it ends here with, you know, Black Cat being the encouraging Joker to her. It's like, yeah, you're unstable, but you know what? I'm not that stable either. Let's be best enemies. And I don't know. I really like it. I like the storytelling style. I like the notebook aspect of it. I gotta imagine that costume smells to high heaven, because it's like, you know, it's just such a neat suggestion of how these characters are. Because again, we get no suggestion of powers for any of these people. I mean, her friend she's talked to, they never give that character's code name. He's got like a little devil fork on his chest. So I'm assuming they were Damien Hellstrom, and they're shirtless. So I'm assuming they're male.
I mean, they did. I think they did mention real quick in this issue that she got powers or something from Roderick Kingsley. Because
yeah. The Hobgoblin,
Hobgoblin. He was laying low for a bunch of years, and I guess he was like giving out either, you know, like powers or like, you know, just hero villain things to different people. I guess if they can meet.
Yeah, well, the suggestion is from it that he created that he at one point got this idea in his head he was going to be a hero instead of a villain, and created the Hobbs Heroes, Hobgoblin's Heroes, and apparently that was something in Hobgoblin Axis. So I don't know. The last book I read this. Oh yes, what?
Sorry, I looked up Hobbs Heroes. Axis Hobgoblin #1 from 2014. The Hobgoblin was the leader. Members included, first name up, Demolition Man.
Wow, my Dennis Duffy was in there?
It says Demolition Man, Flower Girl, Leather Boy, Queen Cat, Rocket Head, Water Wizard, and Wild Streak.
Oh, he's Water Wizard. That's the Trident thing, because that's. But that can't be the Water Wizard. That has to be different. I don't know. So I don't know if any of these people are.
You know why Hobgoblin was creating heroes all of a sudden? That's right. It was during Axis. Remember that spell that inverted somebody?
Oh, I remember the axe. Yeah. Turns everybody from good to evil, because
that's when we got Superior Iron Man. Yeah.
Who died at Superior. So
yeah, Kingsley must have got hit by that spell. Yeah.
So DC, you're not the only people that can wipe out an entire universe and bring it back and just change stuff and ignore stuff. Just when Marvel does it, we just don't care because the stories are so good. That's the thing. It's like when you establish, like, yeah, we just brought it back. Oh, we brought it back different. It's like, yeah, that's fine. Okay, we just want you to say we brought it back different. It's like when you just the entire universe is reborn, except parts aren't reborn. And well, maybe you should just pick one or the other. You can say the entire universe was reborn, but that the Green Lanterns, all their history is fine. And maybe we're just going to say that in this universe, Kyle Rayner didn't go crazy. What was his name? Hal Jordan didn't go crazy. Right. So speaking of books that jump around a lot, The Union.
Oh,
it's an interesting book. It does jump around a lot because we get back to the history of this character, the greatest superhero you never heard of, Britannia, fighting a character named the Sponge, who apparently can absorb powers. And we have a evil villain who just seems like a British TV Avengers evil villain, Dr. Croc Adil. So they called me Dr. Crocodile, Dr. Croc, and he's just mad that they gave him a stupid supervillain name. Yeah, it's weird. And him and his team pretty much dispatch a bunch of people. There is weird British magic lore in this, which I enjoy at the end of the day. I've always liked that, because we are England, because you have the last of the Beefeaters, and he's an old guy, but suddenly he's super spry and can jump out of fireball ways. He still gets punched, but he also, interesting enough, makes the statement that yes, you can kill me, but two more will rise in my place. So there's more there, and we get the idea that the entire reason that the British Empire existed was because that Queen Elizabeth had a dark wizard, and the dark wizard gave her the Empire Stone, and whoever had the Empire Stone rules the world. Then we realize that at the end, plot twist, spoilers, the guy who founded the Union group, this was all part of his master plan to get the Empire Stone. So now he's the biggest crawdad on the block. So yeah, it's the 8th most powerful magical stone in the Marvel universe, and there you go, the Empire Stone. I enjoy it as a concept. Again, it's a book that I think will read much better in a trade than in a month-to-month reading. Some things are really good to binge. Other things, the story is written better to be read in one thing. And for what it's worth, that's the thing. I think the Snyder Cut would have worked better as a series in those 4 hours than as 4 hours of having to sit through it all. But such is life. And do you have any other books you want to talk about this week, Phil?
The final thing I wanted to mention real quick, King in Black Ghost Rider #1. I mean, basically it's just beating on symbiotes, but Johnny Blaze was still dragging Mephisto around. At the end of this, they put Mephisto back on the throne of hell.
Okay.
Because they're like, it's either him or Lilith, and they said they'd rather deal with him than Lilith.
Yeah, well, I know Lilith, she's a great person, but her and her armadillos, no. That's just rank sexism. Lilith, write them a nasty letter.
Well, I think they're saying Lilith is more competent than Mephisto.
Oh, yeah.
You'd rather have this idiot on there than somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, fair enough. It's why you really never want Captain America to break bad, because he is way more competent than you are willing to accept.
But I was just wondering, how does this tie in with the Avengers stuff? I mean, is this like going to be part of the catalyst that gets us to Heroes Reborn? Is Mephisto has to be back in hell?
Well, I get the feeling, because we do know that Coulson coming back to life was something Mephisto orchestrated.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea and the ability to create the LMD Squadron Supreme was something that Phil Coulson spearheaded.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think there's a possibility that it was Mephisto's plan all along. So, and especially because he knew that Lilith would be too competent, would overplay her hand, essentially. That it's like we are immortal esoteric beings. Yeah. We play long games. It's sort of like him from Powerpuff Girls,
mm-hmm.
where it's like everything he does, it's just this little tweak. It says, but then it'll do this. They'll eat the candy, and their teeth will decay. By the way, super excited for the live action Powerpuff Girls show, and I guarantee you, him will be central to it, because it will be about how him has destroyed the Powerpuff Girls by these little tweaks, little by little, over the years. And now look at you, and the Powerpuff Girls will have to come together to regain what it was that made them heroes and defeat him. Mark my words. Words have been marked. Phil wrote it down.
There you go.
All right, Philip. Hey, Phil, I hope you enjoyed listening to the show. A lot of people can't enjoy listening to this show because they buy 99-cent store headphones. And those are just not good for listening to the show because they don't work half the time. You spend $1, you get maybe one of those headphones work for a couple of days. They're always wired headphones, which means that they're always coming in and out. And, maybe it's time to just realize that a larger upfront investment in a headphone will give you better headphones long term, like a Tweaked Audio headset. If you go to tweakedaudio.com right now, you can get Bluetooth-enabled headsets that will work wonderfully with your listening device, and likewise will be a little bit cheaper than the retail price, because we're going to give you that coupon code Southgate. That's going to save you upon checkout. And then once you're done with that, you should go over to huntingkiller.com, use that same coupon code Southgate to get a discount on essentially what's an escape box delivered to an escape room delivered to your home. It stimulates your mind in a way that does not need electronics, because you just get the clues, you read the words, you build your murder wall, and that is fun for the whole family. And at huntingkiller.com, use the coupon code Southgate to get a discount on that as well. Help Michelle Gray solve the cold case. And if you do that, that's great. And if you don't do that, that's great too. Go down to our show notes, click on the link to Amazon. Go to Amazon, buy anything you can, well, please, because it's Amazon and they have a lot of stuff. And while you're there, maybe check out Pod Life, the book written by the podcast community here at Southgate Media about why we podcast, now we podcast. It is available both in a hard copy that you'll need after the fall of society and a digital copy that you can take anywhere until the fall of society. And if anyone does that, Philip, and they wanted to reach out to you or get merch of various shows like the Capes and Lunatics Network, how can they find you?
I can always email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. You can find links to everything Capes and Lunatics at Linktree, linktr.ee/Capes and Lunatics. And remember, all things Southgate Media Group, southgatemediagroup.com.
Excellent. And of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our mothers and fathers once did many years ago at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at the gmail.com. And of course, follow me. Well, not the Gmail, but just at Gmail, because I don't think there's a Gmail site, although that's probably something that Gmail has already copyrighted, so that if you did that, it would go to your Gmail account. But I don't want to get into that. But anyway, why don't you follow me on Twitter as I live tweet things occasionally when I feel like it, at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the two E's in the middle. For what?
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz. He's always there for me.
Legally admissible evidence.
Yes, it is, Maz. Case dismissed.
Case closed.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming through for us once again here at Super Connectivity. Why don't you come back again next week and super connect with us again? Good night.
Good night.
Vogue. Greta Garbo and Monroe.
Drink one of those snake drinks and then dance.
Oh, that snake drink. Man, they were so mean. They were so mean to Falcon in this one. Falcon's going to punch a guy eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Mark my words. Falcon punches Zemo.
Punching on.